All right, everybody. We're here in our sales meeting now. We are shifting gears to our weekly sales meeting. Do we have Rick Picard available?
Yes, he's here.
Well, man, what'd you think of that group, huh?
I just got the tail end of it.
That sounded really good, man. We
Yeah,
got all kinds of success from those guys, huh? We just had the week with Gem Plumbing. We did a bunch of stuff with those guys, and I'm really proud to hear some of the results we had. We have still have about it sounds like we have about 10 people on the line with us here, so not from around different parts of the country. It looks like some San Diego people and people around different places. So let's talk about now we're talking about in-home salespeople. This is our weekly Hour of Power sales meeting with in-home salespeople. And Rick, you're on the line still with us, and
yes.
You talk a little bit about some of the experiences we had this week, and also talk about this week I want to kind of make the subject about kind of going back to kind of the sequence and what salespeople, the kind of overall sequence of things, and what the first call is about, and what the second call is about, and how there's really two calls on every call you go on, and how there's a first part of the sequence and a second part of the sequence. Rick, you understand that now, right?
Absolutely, and it's especially more important this time of year when we're between seasons. It's very tempting to be giving just go out and do a lot of estimates instead of really finding out when people are ready to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Because you do get a lot of people this time of year who say they're not ready to make a decision. So you really have to make it a two-step process more now. I mean, there's more of a need as extremes in weather, cold or hot. Mm-hmm. People more have to make a decision right away. But in between seasons, I feel that by experiencing that they more feel they have time to make a decision. So a lot of times, especially with us, they do such a good job at getting us out to talk to people that a lot of times we're the first people that are in the door. Mm-hmm. So really it's important that we don't reveal any really information on that first call.
Yeah, so let's talk about the first call. Actually, when it comes to doing, you want to call estimates or what I call opportunities, because I don't really use the word I try not to use the word estimates because I think estimate is kind of a poor language. Have you found yourself changing your language at all, Rick? Anything?
Right. Yeah, that's why I said it's easy to go out and do a lot of estimates, and that's why I don't do that anymore. I really make presentations to people who are ready to make a decision.
Yes. So there's two. So really, there's two calls on when you're on those kind of I call open opportunity calls, as opposed to calling it an estimate or God forbid calling it a bid, which is like what is this, eBay we're talking about?
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not eBay. This is when people are going to go to market and trying to purchase your services. It's not a bid. It's not an auction. It's not you're not doing estimating. You're doing giving people a chance to go at an opportunity of purchasing your services and your warranties and all the special things you do. So there's really two calls on every call that you go on. Now the first call is just about figuring out what's going on. Well, what kind of things in the first part of the call, or just the first, called the first call, I call it. Even on the same call, there's two calls. There's the first call where to find out what the landscape is like. What kind of information are you trying to find out, Rick?
Well, the first thing I want to find out is if there's really a need for our services. If there's not a need for our service, there's really no need to go any further.
Right. Because people think they're calling and they're saying, we're thinking about getting an air conditioning unit.
Right.
And of course, if they're thinking about it, why are we here right now?
Exactly. You really think that's a good. There's little keywords that you hear about that are very non-committal, and that's what they'll do all the time. They'll say we're thinking about it, or we're getting quotes, or this, and then that's when you can't let that pass by you. You really have to hit on that. Oh, are you just thinking about doing this, or is this something you're really serious about? I
see. So, isn't that and that's actually the first indication that the buyer has that you're a good listener, isn't it?
Right.
Because if you are listening very carefully, you're going to listen to those things like a customer saying, just so you know, what are you hoping to do on this call? Well, we just want to get some numbers, and right now we're in the process of gathering bids or gathering information, right?
Right.
And so then you got to clarify that, and of course to clarify it means so you're just gathering information. You're not doing anything today on this, right? You're not purchasing today, right?
Right.
And they go, oh no, we're not doing that. We're just getting numbers, and then of course we'll give you a call back if we're interested. Don't worry about that. And of course now that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen because there's two calls. Now the first part of the call is just finding out information, and that's a given. You're going to be there on that call. But the second part of the call you don't necessarily have to do today, do you?
Right. and actually it would be more beneficial if you didn't do it, especially when you find out if they're gathering numbers and they've told you that they're not going to make a decision, and they said there's no chance they're going to make a decision. Then there's no good reason for you to make a presentation at that time.
Hey, Rick, have you seen anybody who says that they're at the door, they say, oh, yeah, we want to get this stuff put in as soon as possible, but then later on you hear language that kind of indicates that they probably aren't going to make a decision today. Have you heard? Can you give us some examples of something like that you might have heard?
Yeah, I mean, the people said they want to get something done right away, and then they towards the end they start to backtrack. That's when I question the situation with them, and I ask them, well, what when I'll ask them, what if I ask you a question, and then I'll say to them, when I came in, you were pretty much looking to make a decision right away. And now it seems like you're kind of backing off a little bit. What did I do to make you feel like you didn't want to purchase today?
Wow, and that's of course called the responsibility tact, to say, what did I do, right?
Right.
And of course, no, you did nothing, Rick. Let's face it, you're not. It's not you. We just have a lot to think about, right? Something like that.
Yeah, but if I really did nothing, then what would you be doing right now?
Yeah, I guess we'd be going forward.
Right. So, come on, you can come clean with me off the record. What did I do?
No, you didn't do it. Okay, we'll figure out something here today. So now all of a sudden, maybe it makes them think a little bit more about, maybe I should be deciding today, why am I waiting? What am I? Doesn't it kind of wake them out of the subconscious, Rick?
Right. Yes. Because by doing your process, I really wasn't thinking right about it. I was thinking that people really wanted to waste their time and get free quiz quotes or bids or whatever it was. And the truth is, they don't really want to. The truth is, if you could show them something that they wanted today, majority of the time they would purchase it. They really don't want to go through this whole belabored thing of talking to all these different people. It's just you have to put them in the mindset that they're going to make a decision today, and then give them so many different opportunities that there's nothing hindering them from making that decision.
Hey, Rick, do you feel like on the first call when people are saying we're just gathering numbers or that type of stuff, that sometimes people are testing to see if you're the type of person who's any different than anybody else? Like once you prove that you're actually different, then all of a sudden now the whole world opens up. I found that sometimes just by saying I'm not going to do everything everybody else does. I'm not going to leave you behind a bit. I'm not going to do that. That sometimes that wakes people up to thinking, yeah, here's a guy who's totally different.
Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that they've gone and said they weren't going to make a decision, and I'm walking out with a check in my hand.
Yeah.
Just by questioning the situation, getting them, and another thing that I really liked was questioning. Well, so you tell you're getting multiple bids. Just again, question that situation. Why do you feel that's the best way?
Why is getting multiple bids? I mean, what are you hoping to hear from other people that I'm not going to provide?
Right.
I'm not sure what you haven't even heard my stuff yet, and you're already saying you're going to get other bids. I mean, how do you know that? How are you so sure that what I have isn't what you want?
Exactly. And I'll ask them that exact question. Or if I was able to show you a bunch of different options, and there was something you felt there that you thought was right for you, what would be holding you back from making a decision today?
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't you decide today? That's a good
right.
point. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's good stuff. It's like I think that goes back back to that. It's kind of I guess for salespeople and that kind of convince me stuff. It's really different. It's a little bit different than service people, because service people we kind of realize that that people are convinced because something's not working right on a service call. But on a sales call, not necessarily. It's something that we're kind of looking to improve, maybe proactively, and sometimes they themselves haven't convinced themselves that it's really something they want to move forward with, right?
And what I learned also when I was going to buy something, I was going to buy a dog fence, one of those invisible dog fences for my dog.
Yeah.
And I made 3 appointments just because I wanted to see the sales tactics of the 3 guys that came.
Uh-huh.
All right? So I made these 3 appointments. Well, what do you think happened? The first guy came, made such a good presentation to me, and I liked everything he had to say.
Uh-huh.
I just bought it from him.
You couldn't even get 3 bids.
I couldn't even, and I had ulterior reasons for doing it. I mean, It was only a $1,500 purchase or something.
Yeah, you're doing like a science experiment.
Right, and I couldn't even follow through with it because the guy was so good. So, so that's why I started to say to myself, I think a lot of my own customers probably feel that way.
Yeah.
Because what happened was I said, listen, I'm really busy. I don't really have the time to make those other 2 appointments.
Yeah.
What are they going to say that's any different than what this guy said?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I want to make the impression on people is that the first call you go on as an in-home salesperson, even though the customer says they're not going to purchase right now, that doesn't mean you couldn't influence them to go ahead and purchase before the end of this first call. That you couldn't turn it around and make them sound like, because I think people are just looking for somebody who is functional in a sea of dysfunctionality. Like they see everybody else who isn't operating the right way, and they see finally somebody comes in who is operating the right way, and they're like, I can't let that guy go. It's just too rare to get a guy who's going to do the job the right way here.
Right.
You rarely see it. So things that go into to determining whether or not you should move on, or whether or not a decision is going to be made today. Now, let's say that people say that they're adamant, Rick, and they say, you know what, we're not going to, no matter what, we're not going to decide today. It's just not going to, no matter what, it's just not going to happen, right?
Right. And that happens. Yep.
So on that kind of call, then we set up. Then at that point, you go right into second gear, which is to not focus on a presentation today, because since one is not imminent, or somebody has not agreed that you're going to go forward with it, then you got to determine when you will go forward with the price presentation. So there's two parts of the call. One is to kind of see what's going on and see when the best time to present will be. And the second part of the call is then to make your presentation, correct?
Correct.
Now, what goes into the strategy about doing that? I mean, probably one of the fears that some people have is coming back a second time. Well, it could be a time waster, one thing, and second thing it could be is a situation where you might lose a sale to somebody else. Somebody might come in and get the job before you get it. I mean, is that what do you do to defeat those two fears, Rick?
Well, the first thing I do is I talk to them and find out when they are going to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they'll come up, well, we're going to make a decision next Friday. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, all right, why is next Friday the date? Is there anything happening between now and then? And they'll say, yes, we have these other two companies coming out and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay. So, I'd like to ask if you could do me a favor. If you would allow me to come back on that Friday when you're ready to make a decision, I could go back, sharpen my pencil, put together a nice presentation for you. All that I ask is if I come back on that date, if you don't like what I have to offer you, what are you going to say?
And are people sometimes confused when you do that?
Yeah, they definitely got to stop and think about it.
They got to think, like, what are you asking me?
Yeah, I was like,
well, yeah, I'm saying if you don't, they got to repeat it again. A lot of times I'll have to repeat that again. I'm like, would you like me? I says, if I come back on next Friday and you don't like what I have to offer you, what are you going to say? I guess we will tell you no. I guess
right, exactly. But you know what would be better? If I showed you something you really liked it, then what would you say?
Oh, yeah, we go ahead and probably do the work then.
Okay, so we have an agreement that I'm going to come back and you're going to make a decision on that date. Yeah. Now, another thing is you have a couple other people. Now you're sure that you're not going to make a decision before that date. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get a call saying that you've already decided to go with someone else?
Right. No, we're going to wait for you because we definitely have to, I would definitely want to get your bid. I mean, you're definitely somebody I want to hear what your number is for sure. Well,
I really appreciate that because you're definitely someone I want to come here. I didn't just come here to give you an estimate. I came here to do this job for you. So that's important to me to be able to come back and take the time and meet with you again.
Well, that's awesome. So you actually tell them that I didn't come here just to estimate it. I came here to get the job, right? Right. To let people know that's your intention. And that's let me tell you something. Don't you think there's a whole guy who has a whole industry written on the power of intention, and Wayne Dyer has a whole thing called the power of intention, that if you knew what you were actually trying to get us and you can communicate that to the customer, that what I'm trying to do on this call, which I'm here to do the work, or I'm here to get the work, I'm here to get this job done for you. I'm not here to estimate, Right. I think service people and everybody could learn from that. Don't you think that this is something that by communicating that, because it's not weird to communicate that you're there to get the job.
Right, exactly. And I think just by verbalizing that to the customer, it changes your attitude and your approach to the job.
Right.
Because now you get yourself out of the estimating mode into bonding with that customer to help them to make a decision your way. Mm-hmm. And so how you approach the call with that mindset is totally different than if you're just going out spitting out quotes to everybody.
Right. Yeah, because not about quoting, because quoting is something you do if you're a philosopher. You get some quotes, and maybe you get some quotes in a dictionary or something like that. But this is not. You're not philosophy. This is
nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah, it's not a bid. This is not eBay, an auction. It's not an estimate. It's not a second guess. This is firm pricing we're doing. Right. Now, on the second call, you're setting up the second call. Now, the expectation on the second call. So you've made an agreement to say, you come back on and get a yes or no on that second call. Right. Before you do that, now you're out there, you're going to come back to the house. Do you usually make a call to say you're coming back then, or what do you do that?
I make a call and say I'm just confirming our appointment on Friday. Usually I'll do it 2 days before, sometimes the day before. And sometimes it'll just happen that I do it the day of, depending on how it works out. And what I'll do is I'll just refresh the customer what we had agreed to.
Just kind of establish that we agreed that. Now, John, when I come out there, do you remember what we were hoping to accomplish? Something like that.
Yes, yeah, and you know what? They always remember.
Oh yeah, I know, Rick. I know.
So
yes
or
no,
right?
yes or no.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if I like what you're gonna say, or if I don't like what you're gonna get a yes or a no.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna get that I think about it thing.
All right.
No.
Now let's talk about so now you get the door, and let's say you haven't met the wife yet, because let's say it's the husband was on the call first, or the wife was on the call first. Now you're going to meet the second spouse. You ever had that situation where you're on the call with the first person, now you're going to meet both people?
Right.
Now you meet the second person for the first time. Do you bring that decision thing up to them at all? Or
Absolutely. I had to just Claire, just so you know, me and John had agreed that I'm going to come back and make this presentation, and if you like what I say, if you don't like what I say, what are you going to say, Claire?
Oh, she said, I guess no.
All right. If you like what I say, what are you going to say?
Yes, we'll go ahead with it then. Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. That's that was the agreement that we had. So I appreciate that.
Hey, do you find that sometimes that maybe they've already been primed? Like by the time they feel like they're going to definitely make a decision, that decision is probably going to be yes now at that point.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yes. Most of the time.
If you can get people to agree with that, and you're going to go back and make that thing, and everybody knows what's going on.
Right.
It's pretty funny, isn't it? Because it's like. What people have said is like, this guy's going to be good. You're going to like him. You're going to like this guy, right? And
right, yeah.
so they're kind of championing you because they don't want to have to tell you no, and they realize you are one of the better, more functional people. And so they're kind of prompting their wife or prompting their husband to say, that you're going to like this guy. He's different than the other guys,
Right. And I hear that quite a bit. Oh boy, you're so much more professional than the other people. And I think also it's not only that it makes it work, is that by using your system of giving them 6 or 7 different options, most of the time my bottom option is very close to what everybody else's was anyway. So, now that I'm the last one there, and I've given them every option, including options they had already received from somebody else, there's no reason for them to call back anybody else but me.
Right. So have you ever done a thing now, Rick? Now everybody's agreed to make a decision now. So now you make your presentation, and you give them all the 6 options, or however many options you're going to give. Let's say at least 6 options. And now at the end of the call, they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is good, but man, I want to think about this." And now you kind of see the wheels turn, right? After you sometimes do it. Sometimes they just go ahead and just choose the thing.
Right.
And that's what they do, right?
Right.
And sometimes the wheels start turning, the gears start grinding, right?
Right.
Have you ever heard it where they're going, "Oh my goodness, what did I tell you I was going to do today?" or something like that? Right.
Well, sometimes they say, "Well, you've given us so much information, we really have to think about it." Well, now at that point, I take the point of view that it's my responsibility to help them think about it. So I'm going to say to them, "Well, which one are you thinking about?" And they'll, this top one here, is this the one you think about? Oh, no, all right, well, let's get rid of that one then. Now, which one did you like? And so
they say something like, "Well, I probably like that third one there, right?"
That third one, all right. What'd you like about that?
Well, that's got the 2-year warranty, and it's got it's still got the good equipment, but it's only got the 2-year warranty, or 1-year warranty, actually. 1 year of service and 2 years of warranty. I could probably live with that. I'm only going to be here for 5 years, Rick.
Okay, yeah. So what else did you like about it?
Well, I like still got the humidifier and stuff like that, and the dehumidifier in there. That's nice too. So, yeah, I actually like that one.
I have ones that are lower here. What you don't want to look at those? Or
no, I don't want that. I don't want that.
So what I'm doing, Joe, is I'm helping them think about it. Instead of just them saying, "Yeah, I want to think about it," and picking up my bag and leaving. You know what I mean? It's now I've stayed there because they did say they're going to make a decision. So now together we're thinking about it. I'm not letting I'm directing them back towards the options that they were given.
Right.
So every time they say they want to think about it, I help them thinking about it by steering them back to the options I gave them until. Right. And every time I do that, you can only do that so many times before they say yes.
Well, you know what? It's like, isn't it just good service to help people think about it? I mean, let's face it. If people are thinking about it, there's 2 things you can do. Either you could do bad service and just walk away and leave.
Right.
Or you could do good service, and good service is always to help people, right?
Right, and obviously that's better service because I know a lot more about the products and the systems than they do.
Right.
So I'm going to leave them to try to figure it out on their own. That's not very helpful.
I think that word serve and the word service is what it's all about, isn't it? That's the root word of the word service is to serve. And If you're really there to serve, that means that you are there to you're there to help, and you're not there to just walk away or act like you're on the. Most salespeople. I think the biggest problem is, Rick. I think they find themselves acting like they're on the opposition team.
Right.
As if we're not on the same page as the customer. As if it's me versus the customer, and it's not, is it?
Right. No.
A good salesperson is me with the customer, and me. I'm not going to abandon you. If you're going to think about it, let's go ahead and think about it, right?
Right. Exactly.
Let me help you think about it. And so, which one do you like there? I mean, what's so good about that one?
Right.
Well, let's get rid of the first option. I don't like that first one. You aren't going to like. I mean, that's too much money. Let's face it, right?
Right.
And then you're helping them. You're helping them get rid of options, helping them focus down, and then you're kind of giving them a soft landing. Do you ever kind of feel that soft landing? I mean, when I say that, I really mean it. It's like a lot of times people just like, yeah, I think we probably just go with that second one, and they kind of feather themselves in there. They kind of sit on a pillow, right?
Right, and that's what's so powerful about the 6 different options. There was many times before I used your system that I knew these people were right on the edge, and I just didn't know how to push them over.
Right.
And all you need is a little nudge.
Right, just like one more sentence. Have you found yourself like one more sentence away? That
Right, and sometimes I would work for me in the past. I don't know if it was always the right thing, but I would make an excuse to make myself absent. And that would give them some time to think about it, and I'd come back. A lot of times they would make it, but this way is so much better because disconnecting from the customer isn't good service.
That's true.
Right. So by me just redirecting them back to different options, it's that I have up to 6 times I can do that now to push them into helping them think about which one they want to take.
Yeah, to guide them, to kind of guide them into the dock, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's not about forcing it or crashing the boat in the dock. It's about letting them kind of feather themselves in there and just kind of float to the edge of the pier, right? You don't got to slam your boat into the pier. You got to just let the waves kind of pull you that direction, right?
Correct.
And it's kind of like that feeling too, isn't it? You're having I mean, don't you find that it's like as opposed to back in the old days where you felt like you had it's like you kind of spray and pray and you hope it's going to go and you hope it sticks, and now you just have a little patience and let people find their way, right?
Right.
Now, Rick, what's the challenge of salespeople when it gets busy? Because let's face it, when it gets to be like 90 degrees out there, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities. But we just talked about a very patient way of doing this, right? We just talked about how much patience it takes just to let people find their way. And don't you think that sometimes your lack of patience might be a problem, that it might turn into an issue, that if we aren't patient, that we could lose people?
Right, absolutely. If you try to cut corners. Now, what the good thing is, usually when it gets hotter out, it naturally directs people to be ready to make a decision quicker anyway. All right, but you still can't take a shortcut. I mean, if it gets busy and they're not ready to make a decision today, the company, we owe it to the company to get a yes or a no from that customer, not to go out there and make a visit. So if we're going to go out there and they're not ready to give us a yes or a no, then really we have to schedule the time to come back and do due diligence to do that second call.
So you're saying the company has an investment, and you take that investment seriously. The fact they've invested in money to get that phone to ring and to get something to happen.
Right.
You
and
take
that
seriously.
It's responsible for me not to treat that lead that I've been giving responsibly just because I have a lot of them.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like a lot of people throw that away and feel like it's kind of like a lead is just a throwaway. It's not something they feel like is of any value. They lose sight of the value of that lead and how much took to get that phone to ring, right?
Right, and that's the point. I don't feel as though I owe the company a yes on every call, but I do owe them some disposition of a yes or a no.
That is, I think that's forward thinking, because I think that's if everybody could just think about that and think about how, if you can start thinking about how I got to get a yes and start thinking about how I need to get instead of a yes, I need to get just the decision is really what I'm looking for.
Right.
Well, good. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about we're moving forward with the call. You get the thing done, and people are deciding about it, and they're doing that stuff. So the second call is about getting decisions, and once decisions are now to reaffirm the decision at the end to make sure you kind of give it back, right? To make sure people have a chance to give it back.
Exactly. Yeah. I always say to them, I give you a lot of different decisions today, and you pick the gold package or the upper middle package, and I had given you some of these other packages. Are you sure that this is the one you want? I'll just offer, are you comfortable with everything that we've talked about and everything you've decided on? And just as an opportunity to give them if there's any bumps in the road that could possibly come up after you leave, it's much better to address them now.
Right.
And get them out in the open. And I do that
Okay. All right. Well, let's open the phone lines. Anybody out there? We have quite a few people on the line right now. Why don't we have open the lines with some people who might want to make some comments or who might want to ask some questions. I mean, I got somebody from what's 301-262-3563. Who's that out there?
That's David Gordon, Bowie, Maryland.
Hi, David. How you doing?
Very good.
Did you have any comments? Or nice to meet you. I don't think I met you before, have I?
Yeah, I just joined. Not the platinum level, but the one below that or something.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Got a question on the 6 levels that you're talking about. How different are the 6 between the 6 levels? What's the difference between them? A dollar level, a comfort factor?
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, David, and Rick can expand on this too. But I just want to kind of illustrate one thing about those 6 options. That if you look at those options on a graph, you want to make sure that the top option, of course, your top option is the most premium and, of course, the highest investment, and the lowest option would be the more economical or cheaper option, right? You're going to have something that's going to be the lowest thing you have down there, and there's going to be ones in the middle. So if you looked at a graph, you'd see the left-hand side being the highest option would be the highest one, the lowest one would be down at the bottom, and there'd be like a smooth line going down to the bottom. It wouldn't be a steep drop. What you want to make sure you don't do is you don't want to have a steep drop off between, like, the first option shouldn't be, if it's $24,000 for the first option, let's say it's $5,000 for the last option. Right. You want to make sure that there's $24,000, let's say something like $19,000, something like 15 or 14.9. Then there's probably something like 11 or something like 8 or something like 6 and probably something like 4 or whatever. So basically you got something where it kind of smoothly declines with certain price points. Right. The reason for that is that it allows people to feel like they're looking at the whole catalog right now. Basically they are too. I mean, you're seeing the finest at the top, and you're seeing the most economical or the cheapest thing at the bottom, right? Right. Rick, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. I mean, and really good thing about doing it that way is whenever you show them the highest option, everything you show them after that is better. So they
or it's more of a hero. But from a price point, once you show them the first option, then every option after that, you become kind of a pricing hero. Right? The first one they're freaked out about because, oh my God, $20,000. Yeah. And then next one, it's only $15,000. I can see that. And then pretty soon that $7,000 option looks positively cheap at that point.
Compared to just coming out with a $7,000 option.
Right. That's a good question, David. I think that also the last option, Rick, don't you agree the last option should be somewhere close to where your competitor's highest option is?
Right, exactly. I call it my economy option. And I say this is my economy option here, and I show them that, and I can see it in their eyes saying, oh yeah, that's what everybody else is pretty much offering me. Yeah. And so what that does also is it puts all your competition in the economy class.
Okay. Calls them economical, yeah.
Right, exactly. So now they're looking at you and all the other options you offered them as being a much better quality all the way through because you've offered them the other people were either scared to offer them or didn't think they deserved it. Right. The better equipment. So it's
right.
Just,
Does that answer your question there, David?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the lowest option, what happens is people start looking at the low option, they're going, yeah, that's pretty much where everybody else is at. I had one guy who was in Oregon when I was working with him, and he said, the top option was like $15,000, the lowest option was like $4,000. He was like, it's $4,000. He goes, these prices are way higher than everybody else. I said, all the prices are higher? He goes, well, no, just the top ones, but the bottom one's about where everybody else is at.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. So what should we do? Right. And then he goes, yeah, let's go with the $13,000 job.
Right.
And so because nobody else is offering, so I want everybody to understand that what we're really doing when we have the top option or those options there, we're differentiating that nobody else is doing that option, right?
Right.
I will tell you something. I think I told you. I'm not sure I brought this up last week where we had our first 2 total immersion people going head to head on a call, and they both had $19,000 options for electrical panel. And the customer sensed that. They go, "Are you guys both trained from the same person?" And they go, "Yeah, I think we were, yeah." Yeah. And so it was funny. One guy, the guy who was a little bit higher, got the job, believe it or not, because the customer felt if I'm going to buy something for $18,900, I'll buy something for $19,500 instead.
Right, that's probably better.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So anybody else out there? We got any comments? We got David. Thanks, David, for chiming in. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Anybody else we have out there? Anybody else? We have some guys from San Diego. Looks like who's out there from San Diego? They aren't going to talk, or they're talking, listening. They don't want to talk. They're shy. Anybody else out there? All right. Well, I think we're going to pretty much call it. I think it's only half an hour, but I think we're going to go ahead and call it, Rick. I don't know if there's anything, unless you have anything else you want to talk about right now.
No, that's fine.
I think we'll. I had kind of a long day today, so I think we're going to end it in about a half an hour and call it at about 30 minutes here. And unless anybody else got anything else they want to hear about right now, but I appreciate it then, Rick, and all the rest of you guys who joined in here. And go ahead and we're going to call it at this point. And
right.
Thanks a lot for coming in, and we'll see you every next week. Next week we'll I'll announce a little earlier. I didn't announce it to the list this week. We still have about 15 people on here, but we'll go ahead and announce it to the list next week a little bit earlier and see if we can get more people on the thing.
All right, nice talking to you, Joe.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Go ahead, bye-bye.
Bye.